All right, this is definitely talking about what pursuing your love and your heart's desire. And the card that you have here is Heed the Messengers. This is talking about not ignoring your intuition and not ignoring your desires, not ignoring your heart, and not ignoring your mind and what you know. It's truly standing by what you believe and listening to your intuition as you pursue the things that you want to pursue, right? You're never alone in your journeys. And to act like you're alone in your journeys is disenfranchising yourself and ignoring those intuitions, right? So don't allow yourself to think that, this is just you. You have to kind of, got to do this on your own. There's always your guidance system around you right now at this present moment, telling you what is and what isn't, helping you go down the right path, or going down the path that you believe is fair and right. Okay? The signs are always going to be cautioning you. Now, by the way this reading is looking already, it kind of looks like there's a situation where there's an opportunity to strike or to get something or to have a situation be very prosperous in your life. And I think it's great. I think it's really cool. But the only situation that I would see here is really just trusting yourself and going for it, right? Not making yourself comfortable, but really going ahead and grabbing it, right? And doing what you have to do to be the happiest that you can be. It almost feels like you guys are fighting very hard for something as well, and I kind of get the impression that, if fought too hard, the reward may feel like you've, cut yourself short, and you're not really interested in how the relationship turns out. Maybe you feel like, you're ready to go ahead and tackle on something new. Like you're really ready to change things up the second you start having something here. But I kind of get the sense of this is that there's no telling what the future has to offer. I feel like you have to just trust what you're going to, trust that you're going in the right direction first and foremost, and just kind of play it by ear then. Instead of, holding back or holding on to something, clinging on to something tight enough because you work so hard to get to this standpoint. Now, what I like is in this reading is that you have the sun in the past, which would suggest that you have clarity in your situation from the very start. So you have nothing obscuring your vision or obscuring your view, nothing going on that would seem deceitful, and if they were, they came to light. The sun is all about illumination. So there is nothing that's literally clouding your judgment or making you feel like something's not right. Okay? I do like that, guys. And the sun would also talk about the potential for great happiness, the path to potential for great happiness. So you know what steps are needed to take in order to make to make this relationship work, make it possible. There's obviously a road that you can go down. And I feel like you guys right now are going down that road. You guys are going down, speeding through it. Like, you guys are like fighting for what you believe in, going for it. You're tunnel visioning your dream. And it can be that you want it so badly that it can come off as a bit aggressive. So, the Knight of Swords is not one that would pass a fight, especially if it's in regards to what he's concentrating his energy on. But I kind of get this vibe too. I kind of get this feeling that the Knight of Wands, or Knight of Swords rather, is someone that you're dealing with, a Gemini. Can be another air sign too, Libra, Aquarius, or someone completely different, someone else is aggressive. But I feel like either you guys are met with combativeness as well, or someone else that's trying to shove their truth down your throat, even though you know what you're going for. Or it could be that, like I said, you guys know what you're headed towards, know what your goal is, know what's going to make you happy. I kind of get the feeling that the Knight of Swords is someone that's come in to kind of come for you, like what makes you happy, but this person is like, well, no, I want you, or they're standing in the way of what makes you happy. And the reason why Heed your messengers is saying that maybe this person is showing off red flags, it would suggest that they're not in favor of what you want. They're only looking for their own interests, and the Knight of Swords is not thinking about other people's hearts or other people's beliefs and not being considerate at all. He's focusing primarily and solely on his own belief system and truth and etc. So you may be dealing with somebody that's not trying to hear your point of view. They may be just totally strictly going out and making their claim for themselves, because that's what's the most important, and that's all they really see. They're handling it in such an immature way that they're not really conducting a very healthy environment. They're not conducting any healthy motivations forward. Now, it doesn't have to be a Gemini. Like I said, it could even be you that's maybe doing this, but it doesn't. But there's somebody here that can indicate that there's something that's going on that would suggest that this person is being too aggressive. Okay, but I don't know how much of that would resonate with you guys, because the biggest picture I see is that there's a clear path that's illuminated ahead, and somebody's going down that road of happiness here. And I don't see this as an obstacle. I do see this as somebody that's definitely either challenging you, or you challenge you tackle the challenges as they come head first and ready with vigorous intent to solve that obstacle or solve that problem, and get to what makes you happy. Now the future shows the Four of Coins, and the future is very interesting because you go through all this, wonderful energy to a place of stagnation. And I think this is not necessarily a bad thing, especially if you've been fighting for what you want. You want to kind of hold on to what you've got. You want to appreciate what you've been working hard for. And I feel like after all of this, the Four of Coins doesn't mean that you're just, you're not opening up, you're not allowing things to come in, unless this is somebody that has come into your life to start fights, start, interjecting their own truth and not allowing you to speak, which therefore you react to that response as, well, I guess I'm not going to communicate. I guess I can't say what I feel, and not fight for yourself, but just corrupt or crumble under the pressure of someone else's demanding truths. Which that's what I would see here, and that's why I brought up that message that I received prior. But it can also, to me, if this is you guys trying to go for what it is that you want, it makes sense that you want to kind of be okay with stabilize, just kind of gather your bearings. And I don't usually see the Four of Coins as gathering your bearings. It's more of like, oh my God, well, I want to expand, but I've worked so hard for this, and you start becoming more stiff in where you are and resist changes because you have worked so hard for where you finally are. Even though you deserve to have the 10 of Coins, you can't get there if you hold on to something and not look to change it, or not look to take risks on what you've put hard work into building a foundation on, and testing that foundation to see if it's truly stable or not. And a lot of times when we're clinging on to something, or how things are, clinging on to the old ways of something, it's usually because we know that it's unstable if we do something different. And that understanding or awareness of something being unstable is alarming, because you already know that if you do something differently, you're going to have to not only probably work on what's not stable enough for you to be able to branch out and continue to grow and move toward a higher stance or higher place of commitment with you in the relationship, or whatever stance or whatever progress that you're trying to make. It's a lot of changes and a lot of work to kind of work on building a foundation as well as push forward. But it starts by knowing what you deserve and knowing what your value is, which was why the Seven of Pentacles even came up in the first place. It had nothing to do with just, hey, you're working hard at something, you're not quite there yet, but it's also like, what do you believe that you deserve based off of how much work you've been putting in, right? Reevaluating what your value and what your worth is, and if that process is a match to that. Okay? So I kind of feel like there's two ways to read this, or a couple more ways. Mainly that someone is coming into your situation, therefore, and then like so aggressive about their truth, not trying to hear your truth, very immature about how they carry conversations, and they're not really listening. So you end up shutting down and shutting up, and just letting this person just kind of do whatever they want to do, even though you deserve more than just being silenced and going along with someone else's ideas, because obviously what makes you happy. Or it could be that you guys go and fight for what you believe in, fight for what you want, and you end up holding on to what you finally feel like you finally gained, even if it's not completely what 100% what you wanted. It's still somewhat in the direction that you did want, and you hold on to it and try not to push any further because you feel like you're pushing the envelope, and that even then is like not allowing yourself to be that authentic self, which makes sense why the Queen of Wands is your best path to follow. The best path to follow is to be you, to do what you want, to be courageous, to not let others press their opinions onto you, and not feel pressured by anyone's opinions to conform to. You are you, and that's it. You know what makes you happy, that's it. And it's great to hear someone else's perspective of what makes them happy, but that doesn't mean that you have to follow that. And these messages that you're getting are all like things, guidance systems that are in place to help you get closer to yourself, to live your life in an authentic truth. Be you at every turn. Be you at every authentic opportunity. Queen of Wands doesn't care about anyone else thinks. She's still going to do what she wants. She's still going to be who she is. Even if there isn't an aggressive motherfucker on their way. Like, this does not dictate what you will and will not do. You know what makes you happy? The person standing in your way and making you think otherwise, or trying to make you think otherwise, good luck. Because you already are committed to the path that you're going down. And you know what makes you happy, and you know that you're going to pursue it regardless. Don't be afraid to continue to expand on the relationship that you have, even if you get to a point where you feel like you're close to making a resolve, even if it means that it gets really tough and gets really aggressive. Don't settle for anything less, because it's getting difficult, it's getting intense, and it's getting someone's getting aggressive. If this person is getting aggressive, then does this mean that you should stay in a relationship that's with someone that's refusing to not only change, but that they're willing to get aggressive with you, to just make that stance clear? And then at that point too, are you trying to change a person? And if that's the case, is this the right person for you? If you feel like you have to change them in order for them to be the ideal partner, does this mean that you have to stay in a relationship with someone that doesn't clearly, that you don't believe matches your energy or matches you in the way that you want them to match you? Because you don't need to change someone. There's always someone out there that will match you exactly the way you need to be matched. You don't have to force it. You don't have to compromise with it. Unless you do want them and you do accept them for everything that they are, you don't have to settle for what this situation is. And it is a struggle. It is work. But are you willing to put in the work, and are you passionate enough about this relationship to do the work? And it's not about, you're not doing enough. It's more of like, is this relationship worthy of that kind of effort that it's asking you to put into it? Now, your external energy is the Wheel of Fortune, so this looks like this is a situation this has happened before, right? This has happened before with you in this either this person or the circumstance, or this is a situation that's recurring where you have to fight for what you believe in, and someone else is being just as combative and aggressive at you, and yeah, the future looks like you're gonna just either someone's gonna cave or someone's gonna just clam up and shut up. Someone's not gonna be able to deal with it anymore and just settle with whatever the hell's going on because they can't deal with the constant conflict. And if that's the case, is this a relationship that's worth pursuing if you know that you can't withstand the aggressions of someone else? Or that you can't withstand the truth of someone else, someone's adamancy of their own truth? Can you stand your ground and be as aggressive or be as adamant about your truth too? I wouldn't suggest you throwing fists at people or fighting with people or, doing that. But I do feel like with the Knight of Swords is saying that there's a truth here that this person is adamant about. And there's a truth that you're adamant about, and you know what path it is that makes you happy. And if this person is in the way by not listening and not being mature in the way they're communicating, is this a relationship that's allowing you to be yourself? Is this a relationship that's embracing you 100%? Is this a relationship that can truly, you can truly live healthily in? And if so, continue to push forward your point, not in a way that's deafening and no one's listening, but be what you want to be who you want as your partner in the relationship. Be the listener, be the person that heeds the messages. Listen to this person, but then once you're done listening and truly understanding to them understanding where they're coming from, be ready to communicate from a standpoint that you would expect the same respect back. And if you can't get that back, then there's something going on that you have to look a little closely at. Again, heeding those messages. This person cannot listen to your perspective after you've taken the time to listen to this perspective. Because the Wheel of Fortune is all about doing something differently. You've had this situation come up before, whether you were too aggressive towards something or someone else was aggressive towards you. But you have to do something different about this kind of energy. You can't go about it the same way that you have been, or you can't go about it the same way that that obviously doesn't show much change. You have to do something differently, and it may have to do with the fact that you have to approach something a little differently. You have to go on a totally different path. Knight 2 of Wands, right? Figuring out what changes you have to make regarding your communication, so that way you can feel more capable of being free and respected and happy. Now, your hopes and fears is the 10 coins. And I get that. You want to have a relationship that is happy and full of respect, that you can live generations with. You can really start building some really crazy foundations with. Like, you want to see, perhaps this relationship go longer, or you want this relationship to take a stance into something a little more serious. You want this relationship to be a success. You want to be successful in this relationship. You want to be successful in life. And the way you do it is by either being more assertive, is by no longer allowing anyone else's agendas or perspectives to be, the forefront of the line, when you know how things are going to have to be for you. You know what makes you happy and what actions you have to take. In regards to getting to the happiness. And if that's the way, if that means you have to be a little more assertive, if that means that you have to, conduct yourself in a different way than obviously being aggressive, then it means that. Your outcome shows the 4 of Cups, and the 4 of Cups is very interesting to get here, because it starts to look like even though you feel like you're emotionally stuck. 4 of Coins, 4 of Cups is not a good combination in my opinion. It's like you hold on to something, but the reason why you just get to this point is because you're dissatisfied with going to a goal, because you feel like you're roadblocked. Everything, you've already tried this, you've already tried that, but the real situation is that you're holding on to a comfort zone that hasn't been showing you any changes in the first place. You have to do something different. The outcome is showing that, hey, you've done a lot of things, but you're still here at this point here. You're at a place where you're not growing, you're not progressing, you're not moving forward, you're not growing. There's nothing going on. And it's not because the outside situation is the problem, because you've done everything. It's clearly that you have to shift your focus away from what is not making, what's not growing, what's not making you happy, towards what does. Towards the Ace of Cups. It's a hard one, man. It's not an easy venture here. Wow. Let's take a look at the Power of Surrender. See what you guys got for this week. Alright. Wow, Surrender to Spirit. Again, another card that was telling you to look within yourself for guidance. Once you've done everything you can to achieve a goal, turn your situation over to the divine. Let Spirit work its magic for you. And that's literally what I was just saying, right? If you've done everything, if you've experienced and done as much as you could with the situation, then you have to shift your focus away from the away from the problem being outside of yourself to what you need, right? To focusing solely on what you want. So making full focus efforts towards what you want to feel and what you believe you deserve. Making your happiness your priority, especially if you're dealing with someone that's not trying to hear it. That someone else's happiness that's more important to them. That good on them, but that doesn't mean that you have to let that be your goal now. That means that you just have to just say, well, okay, good luck with that. And considering we can't work together to make any of our dreams come true, make any of our happiness come true, then I gotta do me. And that's one of the situations I'm seeing here. Don't put your shit on the back burner for someone else's. For someone else, especially if they're not being considerate and listening to you or open to you at all. If they're just going and then just making the whole world is, deaf to, compared to them, or the whole world is invisible compared to them. That's cool. That means that they just shut you out. and that's nothing you can do at that point. You can't change a person, you can't make a person do anything different. The only thing you can do now is to change yourself.